Hello, and welcome to the Digital Wellness in the Workplace webinar. This is a series of brief webinars brought to you by the Mental Health and Digital Age Lab at the Fraser Faculty of Education, Ontario Tech University. I'm Dr. Jennifer Lafayette, the director of the lab, and a licensed psychotherapist and creative arts therapist with 30 years experience. The last 15 years, I've been exploring digital wellness and what that means to each of us in our varied environments. Tonight's session looks at digital wellness in the workplace. It's something we've probably all thought about, our relationship with the technologies that we use, whether it's social media, the internet, or even our phones. Look at the statistics around the use of our phones. 89% say they check their phones within the first 10 minutes of waking up. 75% feel uneasy leaving their phone at home, and 57% consider themselves addicted to their phones. As I read this, you might think, this is me. I do this. The question is it healthy for you or not? Does it bring benefits or risks to your well-being? We know that we've been increasing our use of technology, with some recent studies showing, for example, that using social media has climbed the ladder of the average time spent in our lifetime next to sleeping and watching TV. The average person will spend 6 years and 8 months using social media. When we think about our relationship with technology, it applies not only to how we're using these technologies at home, but also at work. A study done in 2020 found that digital overwhelm, sort of being overwhelmed with all the different technologies that we're using at work, that we're required to use, perhaps not even being able to turn off those technologies. So digital overwhelm, burnout, and distraction are three of the biggest factors impacting well-being in the workplace. This really points to the need for digital wellness. It has been called the rallying call of our time. If we are to succeed and be successful in every area of life and flourish, we need to develop digital wellness skills. Digital wellness is knowing how to use media and technology in safe and healthy ways that enhances our well-being and happiness. For example, today, the average individual at work switches their attention more times than they ever did in the past. We're doing more in less time. In 2004, workers switched their attention from one task to the next every 3 minutes. By 2013, with a surge in technology use in the workplace, this dropped to 59.5 seconds. Even now, as I say this, I ask you to look at your computer and see how many tabs do you have open? How many times are you switching your attention? So if we need to address things such as overuse of our phones or switching our attention too often, or digital overwhelm or distractions, what can we do to achieve digital wellness? We know it's an individual process for every person, and it changes across the lifespan. Someone's digital wellness needs when they're 15 will be quite different from someone who's 20, 30, 40, or 50. So this individual process has to be considered. Take, for example, the right to disconnect. On December 2nd, 2021, the Ontario government introduced the right to disconnect policy. This right to disconnect law allows employees to disconnect from work and enjoy downtime. A criticism when this came out was careers are very different and jobs have different expectations. It might be easier for one employee to disconnect than another, dependent upon the type of job they have and the expectations. So we know that the right to disconnect is an individual process. We have to consider things such as the type of work, work habits, personal preferences, home life, and supports that are put in place at work or in the community. We have to do what is right for us and what makes sense for our lives. Our research at the Mental Health and Digital Age Lab has indicated several key skills for digital wellness. We have to have mental health literacy, meaning we have to understand mental health. What does flourishing look like? And what are the signs and symptoms when I'm not doing well? Without this knowledge, I wouldn't be able to tell if technology is having a positive or negative effect on my well-being. I need self-awareness and reflection skills to be able to catch those signs and symptoms. I need emotional intelligence, the ability to be self-aware, to self-regulate, to be aware of others, and have healthy relationships. I need critical thinking about the technologies I use, those self-regulation skills to stop myself from being distracted or put in place coping mechanisms that I might need, which go along with impulse control, coping skills, and problem solving. In addition to understanding the skills that we need, we also have to be able to assess the technologies in our life. What technologies do you use? How often? When? Why? What purpose do they serve? Then you can assess what psychological impacts do they have on you. Do you notice that after using social media, you're feeling down? Your mood has changed? Do you feel more connected or less connected? Do you feel more stress with certain technologies at work? This self-awareness is critical to the process of digital wellness. Once we begin to understand mental health and the technologies that we're using and their impacts on us, then we can start to put in strategies that can mitigate those risks, but also allow us to reap the benefits that technology offers. For example, recent research has talked about technostress, how some individuals might have stress from the technologies that they use. And if we're in a work environment where there's constant changes or reliance on technology, this technostress might even be higher. For example, if I was teaching online, I could use a strategy around adjusting my expectations and planning ahead. Because we know that stress is always worse when things feel uncontrollable and unpredictable. It's two key factors in stress. So to reduce stress, a psychological strategy is try to make things in your life predictable and controllable. Now, if I was teaching online, I could do that perhaps by assuming 3 things might go wrong. For example, my camera might not work. The internet might go out. There might be interruptions. Understanding that these things might happen allows me to plan a safety net. What will I do if the camera stops working or the internet goes out? If I do this, it can lower my stress. Another example is trying to find ways for that home and work life balance, understanding that this looks different for every person. And we really need to understand the type of jobs that we have, our own expectations, and what we're comfortable with. But boundaries is important, having those boundaries. For example, perhaps we could let colleagues or family know our schedule, or we make sure that we block time out in our schedule, not just for work tasks, but home life tasks, time to ourselves. That should be part of our calendar as well. Set out of office notices or do not disturb periods where you really want to focus on something for yourself. Or set up no tech zones, even in your own office space or your building or your home office or your home. There is a link in the research between increased work efficiency and work satisfaction and happiness. So we need to find ways that we can work more efficient or feel that we're being efficient. Decluttering can be one strategy. Declutter our office space, our desk. Another great strategy is looking at our emails and finding ways to filter emails or prioritize those emails. We can find ways to remove distractions at work. For example, turn off notifications, perhaps on our phone or computer. Set the phone to do not disturb, or even better yet, put the phone out of sight when we can. Remove social media links from our home screens. Or try to remove those distractions and try to have no more than 2 to 3 tabs open at a time on your computer. All of this can help us be more focused. Research shows that when we accomplish tasks, we have effective work habits, and we are efficient and organized, we have improved mental health. Employees have reduced stress, reduced risk for burnout, increased self-esteem, increased self-efficacy, and a sense of empowerment. But to do that, we really need to consider digital wellness in the workplace. Follow us at the Mental Health in the Digital Age Lab for some more insights into digital wellness. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, where we'll post every Wednesday digital wellness strategies for home life and work. We hope you enjoyed today's session. There's plenty more to come to share different ideas around flourishing in the digital age. Thank you for joining us.